All right, we're talking about adding integers, okay? The rules Okay, the first rule is what you've been doing since you were in kindergarten. Positive plus a positive, 3 plus 4 equals a positive 7. Okay, so if we have 3 plus 4 Okay. Yeah. Yep. So positive plus positive equals a positive. Okay. Rule 2. Negative plus negative equals negative. Okay, so negative 3 plus negative 4 equals negative 7. And if any of you, if your parents on your computer at home have Microsoft Office and it has this OneNotes in it, you can actually, like that problem right there I just typed in. For example, I'll do another one. Let's say I had negative 22 plus negative 34 equals, and then if I push enter, okay, gives me the answer. Okay, so it's a little neat thing that Windows, meaning Microsoft Office, OneNotes. If you have Microsoft Office like 2010 or even I think 2007, if you have like 2007, 2010, most time OneNotes is included in that. So might be a way that you could help check your work. Obviously, we don't let it do the work for us. Okay? Yes, Xavier? Yeah. I think it's, well, no, right now it stops at 2013. Okay, so that's rule number 2. Okay, now this is the harder one. This is the one people struggle with. Rule number 3. Positive plus a negative equals the sign of the larger absolute value. Now I'm going to explain this, obviously. Okay, before I do an example here, I want to define absolute value. Absolute value is the distance a number is from 0 on the number line. The absolute value of all numbers is never negative. It is denoted okay, is denoted with the two vertical bars, and that says okay. I'll give you a second to finish copying that part of it. All right, now we're going to try out my little program here. I've never tried it with negative this part of it. So we're going to have -5 plus 9 equals, hey, it worked on that one. Okay, -5 plus 9 is equal to +4. If we have the opposite of that, if we have 5 plus -9, 5 plus -9 equals -4. Okay, so if we look at the screen there, right, we have -5 plus 9 equals a +4. What I want you to think about is this. Let's talk about absolute value for a second. I have a dollar bill here, okay? I usually have, for this example, I usually have a larger bill, but I spent it over the weekend on lunch, or Sunday lunch. So now, I'm not going to do it with you because you'll try to rip my dollar bill. I'm going to do it with Joy. Now, if I came over here and I gave Joy this dollar bill, she would feel pretty positive about that, correct? At least I would. If you wouldn't, then, so, well, I guess. All right, but let's say this was Joy's dollar bill and she has it in her little pencil pouch here. Okay, she had it in her little pencil pouch. Hey, it's even got teeth in her pencil pouch. All right, and I came over and lifted the dollar bill from Joy. Well, Joy not going to be very happy. She's going to be negative about that. Okay? But did the value of this dollar change? Whether I gave it to her, okay, or whether I took it away, did how much this money could buy change? No, it stayed what? $1. Okay? So that's what absolute value is. Let's say this was a 20. Okay? And I gave it to Joy, but then I stole the 20 from her. Okay? She's going to feel positive when she has the 20. She's going to be negative when she gets the 20 taken away. Okay? But the $20 bill is still a $20 bill. So basically, the absolute value of a number is the digit itself. Okay? Let's say this was -99. So by my explanation, what would be the absolute value of -99? If the $1 bill is $1 whether I give it or whether I take it, what would $99 be? 99. What would negative 99 be? 99. No, 99. Okay? Absolute value has no bearing on whether you're going to feel negative or positive. Okay? It only applies to what is the value, this case, of the money. Okay? So what is the value of negative 99? It's 99. The other way to look at it is if I have a number line, here, there's 0, here's 50, negative 50, and here's positive 50. Okay? How many units is that from 0? 50. How many units is that from 0? 50. Okay? It's not negative. Distance can't be negative. Okay? In other words, if I walk 5 feet, is there any way to walk negative 5 feet? No. You still walk 5 feet, whether you go forward or backwards, you still go 5 feet. Okay? So the same thing is true about integers. Okay? Negative integers, the absolute value of negative integers is just the value of that integer, not whether it's negative or positive. Okay? The value of the absolute value is never negative of any number. Okay? We're not talking about the opposites like we talked about yesterday and the day before. We're talking about absolute value. How far is that number from 0? Doesn't matter if I'm going left, doesn't matter if I'm going right. It's still just the value of that number. Okay? Now, that brings us to what I want to talk about, spend the most time on today, is adding and subtracting positives and negatives. All right, so let's look at the process of adding a positive and a negative. All right, now let's look. Let's say I have negative 12 plus 24. Okay? The first thing you have to recognize is this. You have to recognize that you have a negative and a positive, and you're adding them. Okay? When that occurs, it doesn't matter if it was that or if it was this. We're still going to do the same thing because it has a positive and a negative number. And here's what you're going to do. When there is a positive and negative number, and you are adding. Okay? So there's 2 requirements there. Actually 3. I have a positive number, a negative number, and I'm adding. Those are 3 criteria that must be met for me to do what I'm fixing to do. Okay? And what I'm going to do is this. You will take the absolute value of each number, we'll call it integer right here, each integer, and subtract the smaller absolute value from the larger absolute value. Okay? Probably should have typed that out too, but I wrote it out in handwriting, so you'll just have to decipher my scribble. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite those 2 problems just down here so we have room to work. We had negative 12 plus 24, and then we had 24 plus negative 12. Correct. Yep. All right. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the absolute value of 12. What is the absolute value of negative 12? What is the absolute value of negative 12? 12. What is the absolute value of 24? 24. And I'm going to subtract the smaller 12 from the larger 24. What is 24 minus 12? 12. The larger absolute value was the 24, and it was positive or negative? Positive. So my answer is positive 12. Okay? Now, same thing here. I've got a positive and a negative. So I take the absolute value of 24, which is 24. I take the absolute value of negative 12, which is 12, and I subtract those two things. 24 minus 12, 12. The larger absolute value is still positive, so it's positive 12. Okay, now let's reverse the problem. What I mean by reversing it, let's do this. Let's have positive 12 plus negative 24 and negative 24 plus positive 12. Okay, the process doesn't change. I still do the same thing. I have a negative and a positive. So I take their absolute values and I subtract their absolute values. 24 minus 12, 12. Now, which has the larger absolute value, the negative or the positive? The negative. So it is negative 12. Okay? Same thing over here. I have a negative and a positive. So I take their absolute values and I subtract their absolute values. The larger absolute value is negative, so I bring it down into my answer, negative 12. Okay? Now, let me show you another way you can look at it. If that's confusing to you, think of it in these terms. Let's say I have negative 4 plus 2. Very simplistic problem. Okay? Under the negative, I have 4 negative signs. Under the 2, I have 2 positive signs. Well, a positive, like in science, a proton and a neutron do what? Anybody know? They cancel each other out. Okay, a positive and a negative cancel each other out. So that leaves me with how many negatives? 2. So the answer to that problem is negative 2. Let's say it was the opposite of that. Let's say it was 4 plus negative 2. I have 2 negative signs. I have 4 positive signs. Okay, so that and that cancel out. Those 2 cancel out, leaving me a 2 positive, so my answer is 2. Okay, that's another way to look at it. Okay, here's another way to look at it. Okay, a lot of people like, when I do this example, let's think about money. Brandon will like this. Okay, let's take my original, or the problem there, negative 4 plus 2. Okay, if I come over here to Isaiah, I take Isaiah back behind a dumpster and I beat him up, get his wallet, and I take $4 from him. Okay, that would not be the Christian thing to do. Okay, let me emphasize that. And obviously I'm not going to do that. But if I take $4 from him, Isaiah's feeling pretty negative right now, right? Okay, let's say I felt bad the next day, and so I gave him $2 back. Isaiah's still feeling negative, right? But how much money did Isaiah lose? $2. Okay? Same thing as our problem there. Negative 4 plus positive 2. But let's say one day I felt real generous and I came over and I gave Isaiah $4. Okay? He's feeling pretty pumped, pretty positive, probably go out and spend it, so I won't be able to come back the next day. Next day I was like, I was too generous, so I come back and take $2 back from him. Okay, he's still feeling positive because why? He got $2. He made $2 and just stand around and be Isaiah. Okay? So that's another way to look at it. Think of it in money terms. So you can think of it visually with the positives and the negative signs, and they cancel each other out. We can think about it money-wise, where positive you get money, negative your money is taken away from you. Okay? And then the third way to think about it is on a number line. If I have a number line, here's 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, there's your number line. All right, let's think of it in this terms. Let's go back to that problem I just talked about. Let's talk about -4 plus a +2. Well, if we start at 0, if we start right here, -4, I have to move left or right. Negative is what? Left or right of 0? Left. So I have to take and go 4 spaces to the left. So that represents -4. Then I got to go +2. So it's positive left or right? Right. So I go positive 2 spots. So that gets me at -2. Okay? So you can think of it on a number line. For negatives, we move left. For positives, we move right. And you always start at 0. Okay? So that's another way to look at it. All right? So that's the 3 rules. We haven't really talked about a whole lot about the other 2 rules because those are simple. Okay? So let's look at some problems. All right, let's look at this one. -3 plus -2. Do I have 2 negatives, or do I have a positive and a negative, or do I have 2 positives? 2 negatives. So when you have 2 negatives, what do you do? What do? We just add them up. Add them up. What's 3 plus 2? 5. And we keep the negative sign. That's all you do. If I took $3 from you and then I took $2 more from you, how much money did you lose? $5. You're not going to feel positive about that. You're going to feel negative about that. Okay? So that's how you do that one. Let's look at the next one. -7 plus 11. Okay? So first of all, you have to identify what you have in the problem. What do I have? A what and a what? A negative and a positive. So we have to take their absolute values and subtract their absolute values. So that's 11 minus 7. 11 minus 7 is what? 4. Okay, we're subtracting the absolute values. Okay, you need to keep that clear because when we get back from the Christmas break, I'm going to tell you some stuff that you're going to go, wait, you said we were, no, we're subtracting the absolute values. I'm not done yet. Okay, now, I have a negative there and a positive there. Which has the higher absolute value? 11, positive 11, or -7? Positive 11, so that means this is a positive 4. Okay? So what if I have this? -22 plus 16. First thing you must identify is what do I have in the problem? Do I have 2 positives? Do I have 2 negatives? If I do the same thing. Add the 2 numbers together, keep the sign. I have a positive and a negative in this problem. Here's your negative, here's your positive. Okay, so I'm going to take their absolute values and I'm going to subtract them. 22 minus 16. 22 minus 16 is 6. This has negative 22 has a larger absolute value, so I keep it in my answer. Okay? Any questions on that one? Okay, I want you to do 22, 26, and 30. 22, 26, and 30. Do those three problems. I'll give you a minute to do that. All right, the original problem for 22 was what, Michael? Read it to me, not the answer, just want the problem. Okay, so they have negative 21 plus a positive 22. Okay, so Brandon, what did you get for that answer? 1. That is correct. Okay, the reason it's 1 is we subtract, because we have a positive and a negative, we subtract 21 and 22. So 22 minus 21 is 1. The larger absolute value is the positive, so it's positive 1. Okay? Jonah, what was 26, the original problem? Okay, negative 3 plus negative 5. So, Destiny, what did you get? Negative 8. That is correct. Okay, two negative signs, so we just simply add the two digits together, the two absolute values. 5 plus 3 is 8, and we bring down our negative sign. Let's see here. Joy, what was 30, the original problem? 7 plus minus 6? Negative 6? Negative 6. 7 plus negative 6? Negative 10? Wow. I misread that one, huh? Negative 10. All right. So, 7 plus negative 10. So, let's see here. Staley, what'd you get? Negative 3. That is correct. Negative 3. Okay? Remember, absolute value of the two numbers, 10 minus 3. 10 minus 3 is 10 minus 7 is 3. The larger absolute value is the negative 10, so we bring it down into our answer and get negative 3. Okay? Now, your homework. Your homework is 11.4, 11 through 42. Now, I want you to forget what the directions say. Like, for example, on number 11 through 18, it says, add using counters or number line to help. Okay? Use the rule. Okay? Just use our rules. Do it however you need to do it. However you need to visualize it, you do it that way. And then it says on 19 through 30, it says add, use the rule. All of them, do what you've got to do to do the problem. If you want to do positives and negatives like we talked about, you want to do number line, you want to do money. What they mean by counters is like the positive and negatives, where I wrote out the positive signs and the negative signs. That's what theirs is. Okay? So, it is due tomorrow. Have it done. 11 through 42, you may go.